Ross, it's an absolute pleasure having you here today.
Good, great to be here.
Fantastic. Let's start off with you telling me a little bit about yourself and your business.
Sure, okay, well, my name is Ross Leibbrandt. I've worked for GHD, which is the #1 styling brand used and recommended by stylists in the UK. I've worked for the business for about 5.5 years now. It's taken me to a lot of fun different countries and a lot of interesting places, and brought me into this fantastic industry, which I really love and really enjoy. And I came out from a sort of academic background of studying and a more corporate environment with financial leasing and banking, and changing into this world of the professional world with a brand like GHD has just been a fantastic move.
Such a popular and well-known brand as well.
Yeah, it's a great brand. It's just one of those brands that resonated with people in the early days. Got started in 2001. Three guys up in Yorkshire started the business, and essentially it just caught on. Fantastically in the early days of GHD. It was the fastest growing, one of the fastest growing small companies in the UK. In the Financial Times ratings for 5 years or so. It got private equity bought out 3 times. So it was really a substantial growth curve, and in that time managed to build a brand that has the substance behind it that's managed to carry through, and we're 16 years later now, and the brand has got this ethos and this aura about it still that everyone loves and is passionate about, and really resonates with people.
So it's got, the brand itself has a great story. You're with them 5 years now. Can you tell me about some of the challenges that you've had in building the brand, and maybe how you came through those challenges as well?
Sure, okay. I mean, the challenges, it's a complex world at the moment out there from a number of factors. It's evolving the whole time. We've got, a new world from an e-commerce perspective. In that 5 years, that's changed immensely. I think, the amount of business that's now done, online compared to what it used to be, that used to be done in bricks and mortar or in salons, has changed significantly. I also think that just the complexity around the day-to-day dealings, with free trade in the European zone, with complex environments in more unestablished markets. So there's been numerous challenges. I guess the main challenge I would say is actually a people challenge. Finding the right partners and finding the right people who actually understand your brand and understand the ethos of what you are, and understand a premium positioning and what that means, and how to actually fulfill that.
Right.
So that would be the main challenge.
So do you think, is there any, let's say, key decisions that you made over the last few years that have been just critical to the success of the business today?
Yeah, I think that there's a number. I mean, from a partnership perspective, I think you make certain arrangements and certain deals with people and with partners, and some of them have really worked out incredibly. We've got some really fast-growing markets, across Asia, across the Middle East, which that the partnership approach there has been really good. But I think from the GHD brand perspective, I think an investment in certain specific fields at the right time has made a big difference. The main one that jumps to mind is our investment in innovation.
Yeah, okay.
Where we essentially took a major decision a few years ago and hired 50 scientists to work on developing the health of hair.
Right.
So you've got 50 specialists sitting in a lab in Cambridge who literally are working on heat on hair and finding the optimal results from that. And I think that was a major step forward in the business. And that set a great platform, because now you can go to market with products that are healthier for the hair, like a platinum styler, for example. It's got 50% less breakage, 20% more shine, and it's kind of to the color of someone's hair. Right. Like you wouldn't have those kind of claims if there hadn't been this investment in innovation. So that would be a fundamental sort of strategic decision that really changed the business.
So can I ask then, when you guys are, let's say, looking at new markets, or how you're going to penetrate a certain country, or wherever the case it is, what's the process like with that? Like what approach do you take when entering a new market?
Sure. So it's complex. I think the starting point with electrical products is that you've got compliance requirements. of getting in compliance. You've also got and then some markets, because of the compliance, some markets are much more difficult than others.
Yes.
Some of them are really easy. You plug in and you go. Others, you've got years and years to work on just getting through the compliance requirements.
Right.
So that's one thing, is the complexity of a market from a compliance perspective. The other side of it is the complexity of actually getting into market. Is there easy distributor route, or is there a investment that you need to get to the route, to the heart of salons, or is there a great partner out there already that you know of? So it's a number of factors, and we sort of line those up from ease of entry to size of potential to the complexity of the compliance, and have a whole sort of list of requirements that we look at. And then we choose markets on that basis.
Right.
It's also about the resources within the company at that stage. It's a big investment to go into new markets. You have to take it very seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the stage of where a business is at is also quite crucial. We've taken, at certain stages, we've launched quite a few markets at one time, and then we've held off for a while, and we cement those and invest in those markets and get them up to a certain standard before just opening up new doors.
Yeah. If we look at let's say the Middle East in particular for this question, you see the explosion in e-commerce, and obviously you guys work with a lot of partners within the region for your distribution channels. Do you think, or do you see an opportunity potentially for a different approach with the evolution, let's say, of e-commerce within the region, maybe a direct consumer approach, or distribution through other channels like Silk Noon or whatever the case it is?
Yeah. So essentially, the stylist is the core of our brand. The professional advocacy that comes from a stylist is worth a huge amount to our brand. We are fundamentally a salon stylist brand. So we sell to two distinctive segments. One is the professional, and our company has been formed on that pillar. So we do a lot of hair education, training stylists of how to use our product. We do a lot of seminars and workshops and things, getting stylists up to speed. And we're spending a lot of time at Beautyworld, for example, now upgrading the stylist skills. So that is a fundamental pillar of our brand, and I think without the stylist recommendation, we'd have something missing from our brand. So although the world is changing, and although there's new channels to go into, and although there's new establishment, we need to keep the fundamentals of our brand, and the stylist definitely at the heart of that. But at the same stage, you've got to walk the line of where are your consumers purchasing from, And we know countries like the UK now, 30% of purchases is online, And our business has evolved into that. And then you've got to be in places where our consumers are. And we've got to have that distribution opportunity. Consumers have got to be able to find us. We know how a consumer now is all in the moment. If they can't find you at that specific point when they're looking for that product, there's a potential they could go elsewhere. So you need to be available. So it's a fine line. There's something between keeping your brand fundamentals and being accessible and open to consumers.
So when you, to pick up on a point when you say like one of your core focuses is on the professionals themselves, and you did talk previously about the amount of innovation that takes place within GHD and how product focused you are. Do you think there's an opportunity then, from a marketing perspective, to move towards a more content-based marketing approach, where you book, or essentially a media company first and putting the product second, given that it's so important for you to have an ongoing relationship with professionals in the region and an ongoing kind of education process with them?
Yeah, sure. So to me, it's about balancing the two. We need to have a great product, and that innovation, that product, we've essentially got the most innovative product, but with seductive design. So getting the product looking amazing, but also performing at the highest level. Our performance of our product has got to be the best, and it's got to generate be healthy for hair and generate the results. So without that, I think you've got a short-term lifespan of a business, and that product will sell once off, but never again. So you might get deep penetration on a little distribution from a heavy media approach, but you won't have repeat sales, you won't have longevity. So I think you certainly need the fundamentals of a good product with great design to be strong. But then saying that, if you had only that and no media approach and no drive, no one would know about you. You wouldn't hear about it. So I think it's about balancing that. I think we've taken at GHD, we've got significant investment in content. From a hair styling perspective, we've got how-tos, we've got videos, we do a latest trends campaign for every couple of months, and each limited edition campaign we come up with the latest trends, and behind that is how-tos, videos, new styles, new techniques. And that's all media content, digital content, or it's educational content for us to train stylists, and that can be used across social media. It's used on our websites. If someone now is looking for, how to do a certain style, how to do an updo, or how to get, a great bridal look, they can find that on our pages, on our GHD pages. Now that drives search, that's got all sorts of benefits.
Of course.
But we need the product to follow through on that. So to me, it's about keeping the two in line and in check. But actually, I think you've got to be incredible at both.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think then, as I suppose, kind of, how do you distinguish between, let's say, a good market or a bad marketing strategy with a good product versus just a bad product? What do you think, when you're trying to break into a new market, what distinguishes between those two?
I think you need both. I think you can literally. I mean, we've seen great campaigns. And great campaigns come and go. But without the fundamentals of a product, you're not going to have the longevity. Right. So companies are launching all the time and investing hugely and getting a lot of following and a lot of innovation, a lot of. But without that incredible product, it's there. So, nice thing for me with a company like GHD, and I think it's one of the reasons why I work with GHD, is that the quality of the product goes without saying. And I think we measure net promoter score, and we measure, how likely. Well, that essentially is how likely someone is to recommend the product. And GHD's got one of the highest net promoter scores. It's don't want to mention other brand name, but your top mobile phone companies. Right. We sit up and beyond of that. So we know that people who use a GHD are very likely to recommend it. And that's a sort of marketing data insight of something that's always sat well with me personally. So the fundamentals of a good quality product, I actually never have to doubt or worry about. My job is actually finding the right partners in new markets, and bringing our campaigns to life. And that's a challenge in itself. So I'm glad I don't have to worry too much about the good product side too.
Well, then I suppose that leads me to my final question. As a business leader, what is the one thing that keeps you up at night?
That's a tough one. I guess it's satisfying. It's making sure that we are getting across what we've got to our consumers, be that stylists or end consumers. How are we making sure that we're actually telling them everything that we've got about our brand? And that's actually very difficult. You often about to go to bed at night, and you go, have we actually positioned that right with all the might and power that we've got? And are we sharing the right messages? And is that message going to resonate with the consumer? And is it true to the brand? And is it true to our products and what we are? And so is the ultimate message getting through to our consumer? I think if there's no connection there, and if you're not convinced on that piece, that's probably something that keeps me up. Yeah, absolutely. Ross, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining me. Thank you. That's been great.
Thank you.